Hey, how's it going? This is Patriots Inside the Wire, patriotsinsidethewire.com. You can find us on multiple channels. Usually it's Wednesday Warriors. We are glad to be here. We have a great show tonight. We have a wonderful veteran that's music that I have been following for quite some time now. I can't wait for you to hear him for yourself. I'm going to get the show rolling and let's check it out. Thanks for joining us. Share this, get some people looking and listening, and let's roll.
Giving a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside the Wire.
Being a patriot is someone who is willing to give his life for his country and serve honorably in Iraq.
Signed our names with no regrets. Only wanted to be the best that we could be. And we wanted this and nothing more than to be true down to the core. We thought we'd live forever, but when the full moon is bright and the wind blows just right, I can hear your voice on the wind.
Sure was that I came back on a perfect day, really. But you know what? It's really morbid. All these words I hear.
21 guns into the night till we meet again on the other side. 21 guns, this is goodbye till we meet again on the other side. Yeah, 21 guns.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country. It's great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside the Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star Mom, Tracy Two-Step.
Hey, thank you for joining us again. It's Patriots Inside the Wire. We hope you're having a beautiful evening and check us out on all these different stations tonight. We have our guest coming on. He's a veteran and a great musician. As I always say, music is medicinal. That is for me. And I want to bring this guest up now. So I'm going to bring in Mr. Brooks Herring. How are we doing, Brooks?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good for back-to-back shows. I'm sure you know what that's like. So,
yeah.
Brooks, I want to say thank you first, not only for your service. So thank you for your service. And we'll ask you a minute about that. But I want to say thank you from Patriots Inside the Wire also. You've got 3 of your songs that you have sent to us and said, you know what, here's a few of my songs and you've got a show rolling, and definitely I'll share my music with those Gold Star families out there. So I want to let you know they have been put to good use. Gold Star Parents Retreat families, and they picked out one of your songs. And I think I told you that a moment ago, but just so everyone knows, Brooks Herring, not only in the Navy, but a wonderful singer-songwriter out of Tennessee, touring all the time. So we're really lucky to have him. He did send his music in for the show, and we're so grateful. So they love One Hell of a Woman. That is one song of Brooks that you can check out. And I always like to let you know that when we have our musicians in the music world, which I come from too, check out the music. But when you go to check out the music on the Spotify, your YouTube, whatever that is, you have to add it to the playlist. So when you add this artist to your playlist in this digital world of music, this is where they get the credit. So be sure to check out Brooks Herring and his music, where it's going to be on Spotify. He has a website as well that I'll be putting up. But right now, Brooks, it's you and I. Looks like our co-hosts are having some sort of power system going out or something. There's a storm going on in Texas, not around me, but further. So I think you just got back to Nashville, right?
Yeah. Just coming off the road from South Carolina. Yeah.
Wow. And South Carolina, big show there.
Yeah, I've been playing in South Carolina, was in Florida recently, was in Wisconsin recently, and North Carolina, and just traveling anywhere I can get to, really.
Right. Like I said, I know. I mean, you are we're just grateful. So Brooks, I actually found you because you're a veteran, and from other people, I grew up in Nashville, and I'm there half the year, and then I'm Texas the other part. So I started asking around, and I said, actually, I'm looking to see. It's funny because the veterans in Nashville that play all come to Nashville. I'm either at my house, whatever part of the town I'm in. I don't want to give that away to everybody. Is I'll find that the veterans that I already know that I work with don't ever know each other. It's really interesting to me, how the music world works, and you try to mix the military there. It just doesn't really mesh. It's like you got this group, you got this group. It kind of reminds me of school or something. It's interesting. I'll come into town and, I'll go check out Label 22 or Tour 22, which was Heroes Den and Brian Rowlands and those guys. I don't know if you know them well, but and then I'll go talk to someone else. And then my family has been around music forever. So enough about me, but I know enough about Nashville and the music scene from being in it my whole life. So I started looking for the veterans that were around. My son, Sergeant Two Step, was infantry all the way, a fighter like no other. And you probably got it for me. Like me, I love boxing, UFC, but Sergeant Two Step there, born right there in Nashville, Davidson County. And I started thinking, you know what? The one area that I want to get back into would be Nashville, to do a few things that I've got going on and start recognizing and honoring. And that's how I found you, Brooks. I was like, I've kind of met. People keep bringing up the same names, but who is this guy? And so I've asked a few people, Brooks, and it's interesting in the veteran community. It's not that you're not known. It's just that you're on a different playing field is what I call it. Tell me about you. So you're in the Navy, right? And did you go in right out of school? How did that happen?
Yeah, I enlisted in the Navy straight out of high school back in 2004. Signed up. I actually went to boot camp in 2005 and spent 6 years on active duty. I was a weapons specialist.
Right.
I deployed to Iraq and Africa. And then when I left the Navy in 2011, I went to go work for the Army as a weapons specialist and spent 2 years in Afghanistan doing that from 2011 to 2013. Came home in 2013, moved home to South Carolina, and spent 10 years in Columbia, South Carolina, mostly going to school and playing music and working a lot in the veteran military community. And then moved to Nashville. Probably one of the reasons why my name isn't very well known. I just moved to Nashville last January, so I've only been here for about a year and a half.
Well, music people know your name, but it's the veteran community. Even there, they all kind of don't know each other. It's like I'm trying to bring people in, and everybody has their own little section they kind of stay in. So you're definitely well known as far as music. When I talk about Nashville, I typically am going to tell you it's about the promoters, or what I call the OG, the real, Tootsie's is still there. The original owner, part of my family, friends, you name it. I mean, I also have someone else there, two people actually within our family. So you're known as far as your music, so your music is amazing. But as far as veterans, it's interesting. It's just that everybody has their own area that they're in, and in that area, it's not just Nashville. Nashville's changed quite a bit. I mean, you have your area that's right. It's like downtown has become like a destination, literally. Like I've seen bridal things and all sorts of stuff, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna head into Tootsie's for a little bit, or I'll go in and say hi at Redneck Riviera. But if I'm going downtown, I'm gonna go to Printer's Alley, or I'm just not going downtown. So
that.
you've been there 2 years in Nashville. Are you actually signed? What led you from the Navy to music, or was music first?
Well, music was first. But I grew up in a small town, Conway, South Carolina, just west of Myrtle Beach. I started playing trumpet when I was in the 6th grade. I started playing drums and guitar when I was about 14. Started writing songs because I was already writing poetry. And so I started as a songwriter when I was, like 14 years old. But I didn't grow up around the music industry. I didn't know anybody in music. And aside from the praise and worship band at church, I had no knowledge of professional music. I didn't understand the area between myself as a young songwriter and the people that I heard on the radio singing songs and having their music played across the nation. I didn't know anything about it. So it was always a hobby of mine. And like anyone else, you got to decide on a career, on a job, on what you want to do with your life when you grow up. And I wanted to join the military from a young age. My dad was in the Air Force for 11 years. He was a structural mechanic on B-52s. My brother and I both spent several years in JRTC when we were in high school, and both dedicated countless hours of our time to it. We stayed after school every single day to do ROTC things. Like that was our thing. We both knew we were going in. He enlisted in the Air Force 2 years before I graduated high school. And when I graduated, I was already, that was the plan. I enlisted in the Navy immediately. My parents signed me away when I was still 17. But while I was in the military, I still continued I was always fascinated by music. I loved music, very eclectic listener. And when I deployed to Iraq for the first time in 2006, I actually mailed myself a little pawn shop guitar. And while I was in Iraq, I would go and I would sit in a bunker and I would learn chords. And back when you had to print, you had to go to the one building and log on to the internet and print out whatever song it was that you wanted to learn, and then take that printout with you. And I'd go sit in the bunker and I would just try until I got it right. I made the first recording on a little recording app on my Toshiba laptop while I was in Iraq in 2006. And that was just something I did, again, as a hobby. I came back to the States. My guitar collected dust for the most part, but then I deployed again to Africa in 2009. And I took that same guitar with me. I ended up opening for some USO tour bands that came through at the base bar there at Camp Lemonnier, 11 Degrees North. And I was given a guitar by the base chaplain. He walked up to me with a Washburn D10S and a hard case. And he said, "Gunner, I can't do anything with this. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll figure it out." Had a messed up tuning key. It needed strings, it needed pegs. I ordered everything I needed online and ended up fixing it myself. And when I started playing professionally, I got the electronics installed in that guitar, got it professionally set up, and I still play that guitar. I was playing that guitar this past weekend. I've written thousands of songs on it. Absolutely love that guitar. But then I came back from Africa, and again, that went and kind of collected dust. And recycle the story. When I was in Afghanistan, I sent myself that guitar, and I was playing that guitar in Afghanistan. What I did in Afghanistan was a little different. Was I started recording myself playing and putting up videos on YouTube, and started getting a lot of positive feedback. I actually had one video that ended up getting like 40,000 views or something, and it kind of put the little idea in my head that maybe this is something that I can do. I came home in
Definitely.
2013. Opened a restaurant with my dad, which was that's his thing. That's his calling. I was just kind of like, I'm good at the paperwork and the business stuff and whatever else. And toured around with music downtown. I started playing, we were at the restaurant and I was searching for that real job and, was kind of just still had music kind of in the hobby section.
Right.
I went to the VA. My brother was like, you need to go back. You can go back to school. The VA will put you in school. And I was like, I'm too old to go back to school. Like I need to get a job, blah, blah, blah. But I eventually did go to the VA and they're like, yeah, you can go to school. What do you want to go to school for? I was like, I don't know. I thought you would tell me that. I did a lot of soul searching and decided that I wanted to become a physical therapist to work with combat trauma.
Right.
So I started at the University of South Carolina, got my bachelor's in exercise science, and went on to get my doctorate in physical therapy there at South Carolina. But during my undergrad, I started playing drums for a guy who played country music around Columbia. And I would get up in the middle of his, when he took his break, I would get up sometimes and I would play his guitar and sing some songs. And then I started playing shows, by myself, here and there. Started a place called Home Team Tavern. And the summer between undergrad and grad school, I just decided to give it a go. I was like, I'm going to see what I can do with this. And by the end of that summer, I was playing 6-7 shows a week and making great money.
Wow.
And that's really when the light bulb went off, bing, there it is right there. The light bulb went off in my head. Was like, I can do this. This is a viable job. This is a viable career for me. I can make money playing music. Excuse me. So I continued on to PT school. I wasn't going to quit. I'm not a quitter. And I was still felt like I needed a backup plan. I went through PT school and while I was in PT school, I used that 3 years outside of school to really lay the foundation with the social media stuff and the website and contacting venues all over the States and just, writing more and recording and talking with, management and talking with studios and stuff like that. And really starting to learn just the tip of the iceberg when it came to the music industry and learning more of was learning more of the cover music industry than anything. But in January of so I graduated December 21, and in January of 22 I went full-time as a musician. I practiced part-time as a therapist, but my focus was on music and started releasing original music, started distributing it, started really diving into that part of the business, promoting and everything else and trying to tour as an independent artist. And by the time 2022 came to a close, I knew that, I was bouncing off the ceiling in Columbia, South Carolina, and I had to make moves. I got a phone call, from the VA, and the guy was like, hey, I just want to check and see how PT was going. And I was in my feels. I don't know. I was like, hey, my passion is with music. Like I'm still practicing part-time, I'm doing the best I can with that. I was like, but I really want to pursue music. He didn't skip a beat. He was like, well, you still got 36 months of Chapter 33 eligibility. You can go back to school for music. I was like, what? There's no way. Like I just went to school for 7 years. What? Like,
yeah.
But I thought he was crazy. But I went to the GIVille website and I applied for benefits, and they came back, 100%, 36 months, Chapter 33. He was like, different pocket.
Yeah.
So I started poking around, looking at music business programs, and the number one program in the country consistently was Belmont University right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, it is.
I got accepted at Belmont. My VA benefits went through for Belmont. And so January 9th, I had a farewell concert in Columbia, South Carolina. January 10th, I drove here. And January 11th, I started classes at Belmont. And I've been there since I moved here last January, and just kind of hit the ground running with school. Was still practicing part-time as a physical therapist here in Nashville. By the time April rolled around last year, I couldn't offer any availability to the clinic because I was playing so many shows. I didn't have any free time.
Right.
So
So it's a full time.
Yeah.
It's a full time career. That's what you want to hear. I have a picture here right there. And there's another of you. I've got that one with the flag, but I want to find you. I think you're at the USO. Is this you? Can you see
so
that?
that was a USO show. We played at Fort Jackson for their Independence Day celebration last year and the year before.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I've got several of you here. I mean, raising the big flag there.
That's the Tunnels to Towers Tunnels to Towers, Day of Remembrance and 5K in Columbia, South Carolina.
There you go. Yeah, they just opened a place here in Texas down, and this is you on active duty.
Yeah, that's in Africa when I was on active duty. I was the armory chief there in Djibouti. And I have another picture of that truck after we blew it up.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, lots of good stories. I looked at the dates, ironically, that you were in Iraq or you were going to Afghanistan. Ironically, now my son's extremely young, so everybody that's listening out there, I'm not that old, so don't go guessing and trying to think something. But he was just young, like you mentioned, Brooks. And so when you were in Iraq, he was in Iraq too. Doesn't mean y'all were at the same area, but I'm just letting you know that I noticed your dates and I thought, So I was going to text it, but I was like, no, I'll tell him on the show. So Iraq. And then while you were going to Afghanistan, that's when he's no longer here. He went by two steps. So Sergeant Two Step, my son, Army infantry all the way, full on male fighting, testosterone, you name it. So he thrived in what he was doing in the infantry. So, and that led me to where I'm at right now, which means I kind of mix military with my music and Patriot Fest. So I'll get into a little more about Patriot Fest later, but that's exactly how I actually met you, was because of Patriot Fest and what we plan to do. And I'm there in Tennessee working with a couple of foundations, actually. And we were looking for someone. I don't know if you remember this phone call. We needed someone for it. No one likes to do the anthem. I can tell you that right now. I don't care if it's Chris Stapleton or whomever, but
I love that.
Yeah, you do?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it. It terrifies me. It makes me the only song that still makes me nervous, but I absolutely love doing it.
I would love to hear your version someday and get it in here to play. Like if you want to send it through like you did your other song, that'd be great, because everybody is very terrified. I'm not touching it. But as far as your music and yourself, so you've gone through the Navy, and again, your family, thank you to their service. How's your dad and your brother? They're good from serving? How are they?
Yeah, I just saw my dad back in Columbia. He's doing great. My brother, he was in the Air Force, and then he was in the Army. He was medically retired from the Army. But he continues to serve. He's now he's a command sergeant major in the South Carolina State Guard. He heads up the search and rescue team there, working with the local fire departments and everything else.
He's a lifer.
Serve. Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a lifer for sure. Yeah. So as far as your music, so you weren't playing in high school, you were just kind of messing around. And then as you got deployed, I hear this a lot, like, I'm going to grab a guitar or find something. And then full-fledged, move forward as far as your music, and you've gone to school. Now, Belmont, if anyone out there listening to us right now, Belmont is an excellent school. I mean, music especially, like that's where you want to go. I have a Two Steps little brother, and the guitar, you name it, Belmont. We were just talking about that you want to go for music. Belmont's excellent. If he wants to go into science or whatever, he wants MIT, but he's not allowed to join the military, y'all. I feel like we have put in our dues in every generation right now. And so he's also that kid that, that's just not going to be his lane, but his choice. But again, as a mom that's ferocious, I do believe that I need a little bit of a break. And that's where we get into music. So for me, it's like therapeutic, even growing up through different things for me. Is there a particular style? Because, let me preface it with this. I get asked this a lot, like, well, what do you listen to? And I'm like, I listen to good music. And they're like, no, like what? And I say good music. Like if it's jazz, blues, I mean, you name it. If it's good music, I like all sorts of music. I don't they always assume it's just country. And I say, well, I guess between being from Nashville and Texas and my voice or whatever, and I'm always wearing a hat, but I actually like all kinds of music. What about you? Like your genre and inspiration style, what is that?
Yeah, I'm very much the same way. I grew up listening to it's funny, I grew up listening to oldies, 60s, 70s. I had Elvis Presley cassette tapes. My dad had a record player and an 8-track player in the living room. I would put on Simon and Garfunkel and on 33 speed and do my homework there on the carpet and listen to that. Always loved classical music, just big orchestra music. But also country, grew on me over the years. Big fan of country, mostly older country. I've got some country that I like nowadays. I mean, it's I guess hit and miss for me these days, but
Like
90s hip hop and R&B. Grew up, and then kind of, especially when I was on active duty, started really digging, some rock and metal and, Disturbed and Breaking Benjamin, huge Breaking Benjamin fan. Bush, Alice in Chains, some of the early Metallica stuff. Just very all over the place. I'm all over the place. If you were to pull up my personal music collection, you would probably hear, Breaking Benjamin and then Beethoven and then, Eric Church, and then that would get followed up by Elvis, and then it's just all over the place. Some beach music,
cool.
Just a little bit of everything. So I get inspired by a story. I get inspired by just the things in life that should inspire you, not necessarily just, coming from a particular genre, but, a story or a message, that's what really inspires me. So
it's a lifestyle that's inspiring you. So like even from writing, if it happens, I'm a night person. I'm more creative at night. So, and I stay up really late. People they're always like, what the heck, Tracy? I'm like, that's just when I'm creative. I don't know what to say. Yeah. That's just what works. I'm always up.
A lot. Oh, you slept in because you didn't get up till 10. We're like, yeah, well, I didn't go to bed until 4. So
yeah,
did I really sleep in?
Right? We were already up. That's what I say. We're already up. As far as like memories and being in the military, and I mean, you've got Army, we've got Navy, you've been to multiple locations and experienced quite a bit. What was it you actually did in the Army when you were there?
Same thing I did for the Navy. I was a weapons specialist. So in the Navy, my NECs were 0812, which is small arms instructor, and 9536, which is special warfare armor. That's the short version. It's Naval Special Warfare Enhanced Organizational Level Maintenance Technician. We don't say all that. But anything from 9mm pistols up to 25mm chain guns and everything in between. I can tear it all the way down. I can put it all the way back together. I can fix it. I can issue it, receive it, just all the things, teach somebody how to use it, anything there is to do with it. So guns, and then guns, and occasionally explosives and guns. That's what I did.
Well, I'm glad you're right here with us. That's excellent. You brought up a memory that I have. My son was just the type, like I am with my youngest right now. Like we talk about everything, and usually you wouldn't go home and tell your mom anything about that. But you actually just brought back a memory for me of he had great commanders. Like he got lucky, so did I. And I say that because I started a military organization. But when he was going in, this soldier contacted me after he passed and said, yeah, I'll never forget two-step. We're in the middle of a situation and it's jamming up and it's not going in. And I'm limiting my words here because although we're not just streaming, so we're not just on a social media platform. We're on multiple channels in multiple places when this goes out. And because of guidelines, it keeps me from saying certain words. So we just want to make sure everybody that's out there listening knows that there's all sorts of resources, all sorts of places you can go to. There's also 988. I do want to remind you of that. If there's something you're looking for too, maybe it's you're trying to figure out, your next step, or you need help as a veteran or a civilian too. Check out our website, get in touch with us. And if not us, then we will find out who. I needed to put that out there real quick, Brooke, since we were talking about military that we're both used to saying. Guidelines just changed, everybody, June 10th. So if you mention certain words, they will snag your whole account. So as far as you just brought that back to me. So anyway, it was not my son, Two Steps' fault. What was happening was it was actually the mechanism was not correct. So he definitely would have loved to have had you right there with him instead of the, as he calls it, he's careful who's on his back going on any mission.
For sure.
And there is no rank when you're in a situation like that. It's sorry. And I kind of taught him to be like that in life. It's like you speak up when you see something going wrong, you should, or something that's happening. And so I can tell you, that was a great memory you brought to me. An interesting one, because they start finding me when they get out of the military or something happens. Hey, whatever ended up happening, because there's a whole story there and we won't get into me. And I'm like, well, you can pretty much look it up. But as far as you and your music, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. If I'm not mistaken, your faith is big to you. Am I right?
Yeah.
I thought so. And so I do this all the time. I mean, you might have seen it as the intro is going. When you see me do that means my son and my faith is what keeps me going every day as the mom who doesn't have her son. So yeah, that's the worst thing in the whole world. But my therapy is not just my faith, but it's music. So when we writing music, I don't care if it ever goes anywhere. It's just a matter of, it's very, very therapeutic. Have you ever had, when you were a PT, a physical therapist like that? Like, what was your most gruesome? Was there like a gruesome story that you had that was going on there?
The most as PTs, we typically we come in when surgery is done. So the gruesome stuff we leave to the surgeon. But as a PT, I have observed several surgeries, and total knees and total hips. That's a gruesome surgery. That's a rough one to watch. But for the most part, when we receive the patient, they're stitched up and in a brace, and we focus on the healing process. So
and a lot of some of that's emotional too. I know with one of my sons, he got out medically, but something had happened to him when he ended up in the hospital. Thank God they didn't pull a plug. Literally, somebody was going to fully learning to walk, fully learning to eat, walk, talk, you name it. Shout out to Pierce. Thank God he is still here. But I can tell you, it was grueling to be that. He was the same way as far as adrenaline, and just built tough to go to the military. And all those competitions, like he's the guy that's like running over to go do the jump contest, to shoot, you name it. Like I was like, what are you doing? Like, where are you at now? That happened with him. So I would think that his PTs, so you have your OT, occupational therapy. And I actually was in nursing school and I decided to quit. So I'm familiar with that field very well. But it was actually the PTs that really got him through it, because he was really, really good at remembering his PT from being in the service. Yeah. Having to deal with trying to like come back and like walk, talk, and do that again. I got to give it up to his PTs, because I mean, that's what he had to lean on. And you're talking about a strong individual who was he didn't ask for help, but he never really needed it. But again, everybody does, right?
Mhm.
So when you get put in this vulnerable situation, I was grateful that he got some people that literally didn't just focus on the physical, because there's a lot that happens when you get broken like that.
Oh yeah.
So
Physically,
yeah, I admire what you were doing with that too. So
I got to work
and
with
then,
a lot of veterans when I was so I worked at Walter Reed for 3 months up in DC, and so my I was in the MATC, the Military Advanced Training Center. My population was almost all amputees, and they were, you know, men and women either returning from combat or some. We had a few non-combat injuries, but just that process of learning to walk all over again, and just the resilience, you know, that I saw from them. I worked with one guy in particular. He was an Army sniper. He lost both of his legs above the knee in Afghanistan, and he had to learn to walk, you know, one time going through PT wearing sockets, and he came back for a second time when I was there and got an elective procedure done called osseointegration. Had to learn to walk all over again, but he showed up early. He stayed late. He was there in the morning. He was there in the afternoon. He worked his butt off. Like he put in a lot of work. We hung out outside of the clinic and went downtown a few times, and it was a lot more than just PT. It was, you know, we both shared stories with each other about our experiences and deployments and everything else. And I actually ended up writing a song about him and releasing it. I got to play it. That's Home for Good. So Home for Good is about one of my patients from Walter Reed.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you your best story of recovery from PT. So there you go. Shout out to him twice. My gosh. Yeah, I mean, just the role of both situations that you were in, they are roles that, you know, someone's life. So freedom, I always tell everyone, when working, especially in music or with bands and putting on festivals or concerts, you always get well, can they play for free? And so my biggest comment that I come back with out of either if it's J&T or wherever it is or whoever I'm working with, especially with Patriot Fest, that I know that's me. So I get to make decisions there with a team. But I always say, do you have freedom? And they kind of look at me and I'm like, you have your freedom, don't you? You get it? It was already free. So actually, they've already done something for you for free. So no, I'm never going to ask them to come here and play for free. So you already got that part out of them. So I've had a person look at me and go, dang, I didn't even think of that. I was like, yeah, that's how it works. That's why we have what we do. It's because people like you that sign up, and that's an ultimate sacrifice right there. I mean, gosh, especially nowadays, the percentage it was like 1%. It's dropping even to below 1% for our military. So it's always just been a special spot. You mentioned your family, my grandfather, between that and racing, you know, he got out and started racing cars. I was like, so I'm really into that. And so, you know, that influenced me as well, racing. But as far as your music, I have two things here. Number one, like your most transformative song that like maybe has gotten people, you know, like what I call the heartstrings, like, you know, what's pulling at that heart. And it's like transformative as to you when you were taking off and going, you know what, I'm going to do this full time. I'm curious about that. And then I'm also curious about your number one song that has been rolling and picked up, and it's been like one of those, it may not be your favorite, but it might be your fans' favorite. What would that be?
Well, I know the fan favorite, I believe I can double check the numbers. I believe it's over 90,000 streams now. And was actually not my latest release. I just released something else, but up until recently, yeah, it's over 90,000 streams. So I released a song in February of this year called "In the Depths," and "In the Depths" is a rock song, a pretty heavy rock song, and it's a song about the struggle with addiction. It kind of personifies the monster inside, the addiction, and has a little conversation with him. And that song has really taken off and been streamed a ton. And so that's been really cool to see. Like I said, I had a lot of rock influences. I love rock. I love doing country. But I'm also going to continue doing a lot of the rock stuff, and rock has really taken off. As far as the transformative song, I always go back to my very first release. It hasn't been a big streaming song. It's not something that you'll probably hear on the radio, but it's a song called Why Me. It's a song that I wrote on my own back when I was still in. And it wasn't just, I didn't sit down just to write a song. I had to get some things out of me, some guilt and some shame. I had to get outside of my body. And so I put it on paper. And that story is about the loss of a few of my friends, and trying to figure out why they were taken, and why do I deserve to be here? Why is it that I'm here and not them? And I think the crazy thing is that I put it into a song, and I did it at a time when music wasn't a job of mine. It wasn't a career option of mine. It was just something that I did as a hobby and something I did for my own sanity. I put that into a song, and fast forward 15 years, and now I'm making music professionally and as a career. And that song was my first release, and I did that intentionally. I knew that that had to be the first song that I released, and to pay tribute to those friends and to all the men and women who have made this sacrifice that wasn't ultimately required of me, but I get to continue doing what I'm doing because of those brothers and sisters that I lost.
And yourself too. I think like you as well. Like my, of course, I'm on a different end of it, but that's why I was asking when I was in Nashville. There was the event there, and you happened to be touring. That's how I met you. And so Craig Wayne Boyd, he was on The Voice. And so he's someone that is not scared of the anthem. So that's who we ended up having come out. And that's what it was. So it was actually foundations that worked together between Texas and Tennessee is how I found you. So it was interesting that I said, hey, I actually found you. And I said, have y'all worked with him before? And they said no, but we do have a mutual friend. That's actually how I found you. But I knew right then, I was like, man, he did not even hesitate. Like, you didn't even hesitate. It was, you heard what it was for, and you knew what it meant. And you were like, if I was there, and you had never met me or anything, you were like, if I were there, I would definitely do it. But I'm actually out touring. And we had a little bit of a chat, and then I got back a hold of you about, I'm with Heroes Media Group right now. So shout out to Heroes Media Group. Got a lot of veterans there. There's a few of us that are around military, meaning I am the only Gold Star mom, but, and what that means for everybody out there listening to us right now, Gold Star, or what it means is my active duty son, who was in the Army, did not come home. He did not choose to take off his uniform. I won't go too much further. He's a combat veteran. He did do his deployments, but he did not get to come home. So, and again, my faith and just life, like you said, Brooks, therapeutic. It's been music, my faith, and the people that I try to surround myself around. It's Patriot Fest, which is built upon Gold Star Family Foundation and Fallen Heroes National Foundation, because I wanted to go a little outside of military as well. So I've got a border agent related in my span of family that was in the Marines, and then he decided I wanted to be a border agent, and he was gunned down. This is the truth. I'm sorry about the guidelines, but that's the truth. And then, so I've had a lot of different experiences. So I always tell people, I'm like, well, pick a topic, like pick a topic, and I'll say that probably I've been in that area, but, and then I didn't grow up with anything literally there in Nashville. So that surprises people as well. So I do as much as I can to get out there, because it's just something that gives back, not only to them, but to me too. So it makes me feel better. I just feel good being able to, I get a lot of the phone calls. And so I think it also therapeutic, takes me out of that role a lot of times. So I've never really done anything for Two-Step, my son. And so Nashville, the reason I'm going back a lot more than I was is because I'm working on something there that I want to do to honor him, and not just him, but being out of Nashville and all the work that we've done, I definitely want to hit up and do something there. And it's Patriot Fest. So yeah, I found you and I'm like, my goodness, this is just the talk and no hesitation there. The understanding of any mom that loses a child for anything, right? I'll just say it, like it's pure hell for any mother. I don't care if it's military or not, but I'm doing good. So don't worry. I know my people out there, you can continue to check on me. I want you to. The biggest thing I always tell people, Brooks, is include us, because a lot of people are afraid to like reach out or invite us or something. And it's like, we're not going to show up and like start crying and like bring the mood down. As a matter of fact, we're going to be like, thank you. Like, here's our unit. Here's our troop again. Cause you just get thrown out of it so quick. And it's like, wait a minute. Where is everyone? Where's that whole unit? Where's all the guys that would come to the house with him? Like, where'd you go? So with Patriot Fest and then the foundations under Patriots Inside the Wire, I'm going to get with you on that. Because I immediately connected to you when I was talking and picked up on, when I do that. That's my faith, and that's Two-Step for my son. And Brooks, I have another challenge for you. So I haven't been able to do it yet, but there's like 3 songs here. So since you went to PT school, you're familiar with the heart, and that there's heartstrings literally around that. It's a muscle. I've had multiple mothers and a father, and it even actually happened to me. It's called broken heart syndrome. I don't know, Mel, are you familiar or no?
Not intimately.
Okay. Well, it is a true thing. And it is when those strings that are attached to your heart are pulling so hard, it's like you're having a heart attack. And it's a muscle. So those strings get broken and they tear. And with extreme grief, that's what happens. So my quick story is, I was like, what is going on here? My heart rate's like 280, like going crazy. And I'm like, these weird things were happening to me. And the cardiologist literally swore, she's having a heart attack. We got to get her in right now. And I was still conscious, thank goodness. But they noticed that in my hands, I had some stuff that belonged to my son. And it was his actual stuff that we had at his service from running Military Moms of Texas. He had a big turnout, not only because of his service, but he would even do stuff when he was home. I mean, to help whoever was around. So it was very stressful. So not just me, but there's been multiple families that I've mentored or talked to. One mom even recently, it's like having a heart attack, literally. And the cardiologist would swear, like, my God, they're having a heart attack. And then one gentleman that had been in the military looked over and said, is that her son? And so I was holding on to the pamphlet, literally still, when they took me to the hospital. He said, hold on, back off. He said, I don't think she's having a heart attack. I actually think what it is her heart. And there's strings there. And so those will pull and break, and we've got to get her like leveled down. So it's just happened to a friend of mine, probably about 3 weeks ago. So I'll get the calls, and I can tell you of 10 personally that I know. And then I've actually taken a call and I'll tell them, yeah, that's broken heart syndrome. And the easiest way for civilians out there to understand this would be if you've ever watched a movie or seen an elderly couple, you have someone that passes first, and then shortly thereafter, the other will pass. That's part of it too. And that's a good way that civilians will understand that. Women, it would be The Notebook. If you watched The Notebook, there at the end, you've got a couple that was together forever. He could not handle her passing like that, and they passed together. That's broken heart syndrome. So thank God for me. And as far as my life, it's stop, take a step back, get your health under control, and get yourself around the most positive environment you possibly can, is what I tell everyone. Like, your health is first, everything else comes next. So I just appreciate you taking the time. But those 3 songs are Heartstrings is one of them. And I mean, I have the story. It's just hard for me to do my own personal things. So I can do everyone else's. It's just like I can't do my own. That one. And then Bottle Rockets and Bullets is a song. And then Gold Star Mom. I can't tell you how many musicians I've asked. I'm like, I need a song that is about a Gold Star Mom. Even if you want to use my son, Sergeant Two Step, or my story, like, look me up, find whatever. But I cannot find a song about that at all. I find a lot about veterans. I find a lot about all sorts of things, but that's a challenge I'm giving. And I think it's one that you can actually do. So I would love for someone to do this. I think you're the right person for it. So I want to see what you come up with out of that one. No, you don't have to do it, but something tells me you could. So, and you're welcome to use anything of mine that you do find, or if you have questions or something, I'm totally cool with answering. And that's for everyone that's out there. I mean, you're not going to break me. I'm not going to break down in front of you. And you want to ask me a question, ask it. Almost nothing is it's all on the table except for a few things. But Brooks, so your whole family, are they in South Carolina and you're the one there in Nashville?
My dad is in South Carolina. My mom lives in South Carolina. One of my sisters lives in South Carolina. One of my sisters lives in Boston. One of my sisters lives in Louisiana. So we're a little spread out. We got a pretty strong presence there in South Carolina.
Nice. You know what's interesting? I've lived all over and never there. So it's like, that's a new one for me. And your website, Brooks, is it brooksherringmusic.com?
Yeah. Yep.
So we want to make sure everybody gets a hold of that. And then I usually preface this when we have an artist. I want everybody that's listening to me out there with an artist in the digital world that we're in today. And so we do a lot of digital creating, hosting, you name it, songwriting. But for an artist to actually be recognized, paid, you name it, in this digital world that we're in, when you go to look at their music and you want to listen to it, add it to your playlist. The biggest thing you can do is go, let's say we're going to Brooks. We're going to go look up Brooks Herring, his music on Spotify. You go to Spotify and you put it on a playlist. That's how our artists in a digital world today get that credit. So be sure to add music on your playlist for these artists, especially our veteran artists that you see on Patriots Inside The Wire. We want them to get that credit for that music they have, but it's not just about that. It is really good music. So, I have heard probably all of your songs I can get a hold of, except it's interesting. I did not see Why Me. So I'll have to go back and see why I didn't pick to even listen, or like you said, maybe it just isn't as big out there.
It's going to be at the very beginning of the discography because that was the first song that I released.
Okay. Yeah. I want to check it out. But like I said, we had you sent a few here, and I was going to look at one and ask you, because the Gold Star Father with Gold Star Parents Retreat is what it is. There's many organizations that I put on here. And then there is, so we've got The Good Parts, One Hell of a Woman, and Coming Home. Yes, Coming Home for You. So we have those 3 songs in here. What is the story of one of those 3 that you want to tell?
Yeah. Well, Coming Home, I wrote with Chris Bickle and Jay Denton. Chris Bickle is a retired Army Special Forces operator. He retired after 20 years and decided he wanted to go into songwriting, and he's absolutely amazing. He's a great guitar player. He's got the discipline of an operator still. So he's one of those guys that every time I see him, I can tell he practices every single day because he's just that much better.
Right.
But Chris and I, when we met at a veteran songwriting camp last year. Both veterans, we, exchanging stories, talking about everything. He was an operator. I worked closely with special forces, but I was not an operator. So we just exchanging stories and talking about, different deployments, different areas and stuff like that. And we were writing a completely different song. And I just found myself just kind of thinking about his experience, his service, and how much different it was, having to, jump up in the middle of the night and, go jump in a car and head to an airstrip, get on an airplane, go halfway around the world, do the Lord's work, and hopefully come home every time.
Right.
And not being able to communicate with his family every day, just to say, hey, I'm okay. And my heart was heavy, thinking about what his family must have gone through with all that. And so the idea for that song kind of came to me. Like I said, we were writing a different song. I just started playing it. I just started playing that little riff that you hear at the beginning of the song and started singing the words to the first verse. And Jay kind of peeked his head around the corner. He's like, what is that? What is that? Let's do that, whatever that is. So Chris and Jay and I spent the rest of the night writing and recording that. And it really is I dedicate that song to the families of the Special Forces community, all those operators and their families who, have to fly under the cover of darkness and go somewhere there and do things that, that I wish I could do. And, but,
Well, I could tell. So when you sent that one, I was like telling the father, I was like, well, I'm going to let you pick. And they always pick. They've never even heard your music. I have. And so I'm like, okay, I will play it. So they're like, what's the story behind One Hell of a Woman? Now we're all taking that and using it like totally different than probably what you have it for. But it takes one hell of a woman to have to deal with the military and the situations that you go through.
That's exactly what it is.
Between the line of duties, between the going military, civilian, you never know what the story is. There's a lot that goes on out there that is not understood. And so they laugh and they're like, well, Tracy, and he's a father and he's amazing. It's Terry Burgess. Shout out to him. He's like, I want to hear One Hell of a Woman, because every time, and I'm not going to get into me, but long story short, he's like, it sounds like somebody did that. And I said, nope, you're completely wrong. That is not me. It has nothing to do with me, as a matter of fact. So the first time we played it he was like, no, I want to hear it. And I said, okay, all right, we'll let you. But I am curious now because they're assuming, it does take one hell of a woman to deal with all of that. I'll tell you that. Any deployments between a mom or a family, whatever the situation is. But usually when you go in and you're that young, you've got your siblings and your parents. So, and that's the area that I am focusing on, which is siblings. So I am trying to work on sibling scholarships, sibling music therapy type programs. Like even my own son right now, the guitar is a therapeutic means. So I've seen it. The ability of what it can do to transform someone, just like you were mentioning yourself. So One Hell of a Woman, what is the story behind that?
So I came to Nashville back in 2020 as a part of the Creative Vets program. And if you're not familiar, Creative Vets brings combat veterans to Nashville and pairs them with hit songwriters to communicate their experience or a part of their experience in the military through song. And I got here and I got paired up with Jeremy Brock was my veteran mentor, and Tyrone Carricker and Eric Etheridge were our co-writers. And it pretty quickly came out that I'm a songwriter and a musician and an artist and everything. And they're like, well, this doesn't happen usually, so it's they were like, well, what is a part of your military experience that you haven't written about? Because I had already written quite a few songs about my experiences overseas. And so I decided to write one for my wife, who I met in Afghanistan in 2013. She's still in. She's been in for 18 years.
Wow.
She's a Sergeant First Class. She's 89 Bravo Army. So that song.
89 Bravo, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So see, I'm so glad that I asked. That is one hell of a woman right there. She's a badass. You don't want to mess with her. You said 18 years. She's at 18 years right now. My goodness. Wow. It's interesting. Well, thank you for her. My goodness. That is one hell of a woman. Not only that, but Brooks, is she like, so deployments and all that too. So now you've got a whole other side of this. You've got, not only have you been the person there, now you're married to someone that's actually in and has to go. So you felt it like between your father, brother, it's like you yourself, and now your other half.
My oldest son is talking with an Army recruiter right now too. So I may be on the parent end of it too. So
yeah, and people, I'm not Catholic, I am Christian, but I grew up around some nuns, so constantly they'll see, I'm like, yeah, it's all about God and Jesus, but it's a habit I just did there. I just saw myself do that, but I was doing that for your son. He'll be fine. What happened to my son is not, I mean, he was fine in a war on foreign soil. It was on our own soil. That is a situation. And what people don't realize is that 75%, and it's actually gotten higher, but the last that I checked, 75% are actually stateside. So, and those are the ones that you usually don't hear about. So there's a lot of people out there that end up hurting, or there's a ranking kind of system that will happen. And then it's like segregating, like this person mattered more than this person. And this, I'm like, no, I don't play that. Like the only person that can play that in my life is God. Like that's not happening around me. So mine is do no harm, take care of each other. And if they sign up and they're in that military, then they are active duty. And according to the DOD, they are official military. And trust me, if the military gets you, they got you. You're theirs. So they aren't sitting around just waiting to go play war or something. Not, and I'm only speaking for me. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but not in the infantry of the 164, 3rd ID, or then he switched over to 11 Bravo there towards the end. So just because he wanted to go back. So it was interesting. But you threw me for a loop there with 18 years, and then you added your son on top of that. So you've got a son that is old enough to join the military.
He's 19.
Wow. Okay. All right. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. How many kids? You got more than
I got two. I got 19 and 13, both boys.
Ooh. Okay. What happens when you go touring, Brooks, and you've got these teenage boys, and if your wife has to be gone, what the heck do you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, the 19-year-old, he's old enough. He's out of the house, but
yeah.
My 13-year-old he lives with his mother about 2.5 hours northwest of Nashville. She and I serve together.
Oh wow.
She's an amazing mom. We get along great. We're friends. She and Kick, my wife, get along great. So she's done an amazing job with him. I'm actually going to be up there tomorrow night for one of his baseball games.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so we don't have a lot of trouble with that one.
No, I'm glad. I mean, it sounds like, so he's going to talk to the Army, huh?
The 19-year-old is already he's already in the process. He's already
and you've already told him, be careful of those recruiters. You need to
I've already talked to the recruiter too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Because I did.
Hey, bro. I know.
Yeah, I did. That's for sure. You never know. Recruiting is pretty interesting. This stuff that I found out after the fact. I didn't know before, but it was like after. I'm like, man, I wish I knew some of this before, but it's always interesting along the way. So Brooks, you just got in from traveling. You've been playing. Everyone, is going to want to hear something from you. What are we going to hear from you tonight?
I think
I throw you on the spot, didn't I?
yeah.
I'm very good at that.
coming right off the road. It's we'll see how warmed up my voice is. But I just released a 3-song live acoustic album Friday before last, and these are 3 songs that I really like, and songs that I'm going to be taking to full production. But there was an opportunity to record them live, and one of the songs has just been getting a ton of great feedback, to the point where, you know, it's like I knew I had to get it out for people to listen to. I grew up in Conway. I grew up deep in the woods, deep in the country, but I didn't grow up doing a lot of the country things that you hear on country radio. Didn't do a lot of hunting and fishing. My first car wasn't a pickup truck. It was a 1990 Ford Crown Victoria. Mixed match hubcaps and the vinyl peeling off the top. But when I was 17, you know, I did what I thought was the most country boy thing I could do, and that was volunteer to serve my country. And when I was on deployment, I got to do all the country boy stuff that I dreamt of as a kid. I sat down with Matt McKinney a few months ago, and we turned it into a song. And it's a song that's gotten a lot of awesome reaction from a lot of crowds. And so it's actually going to be the title track off of my next album, which will be coming out in late November.
And where can we find that? I've got your website up, so just stay tuned to your website to find this when it's going to release.
On the website, as soon as you start scrolling down, there's a little Spotify little box in there that just has my songs where you can just click on them and listen to them. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, anywhere you stream music. So
you got it.
This song kind of tells that story. This is called Not Country. Didn't drop a deer every morning from a deep woods pine tree stand. I've been hunting half a world from home, with blood in the desert sand. I didn't pray for rain or grain, just prayed to survive. Didn't wear red wings or a Stetson, there's cowboy in my eyes. I might not be what you call country till the country calls. First in line to answer, back it up and risk it all. I'm not one for church on Sunday till another of us falls. I might not be what you'd call country till the country calls. We're a different kind of camel. My rifle ain't the same. The jacked up trucks are bulletproof, and the radio won't play hang. Might not be what you call country till the country calls. First in line to answer, pack it up and risk it all. I'm not one for church on Sunday till another of us falls. I might not be what you call country till the country calls. I've got a couple of tags that hang here on this chain, and I'll reap what I've sown, but it won't make it to your place. I might not be what you'd call country till the country calls. First in line to answer, pack it up and risk it all. I'm not one for church on Sunday till a brother of mine falls. I might not be what you'd call country till the country calls. No 12 point on my wall, bare scars on my soul. The only trophy on my mantle is a flag I don't unfold.
Well, I don't know how many times I've been speechless. People would say that's rare, but I definitely am. I have goosebumps from that verse. It's very hard to crack me. I was actually playing, like, there's two-step. And was bringing up your pictures and some of the pictures of the families, and it was just that song with what I have in here from all the families here. I mean, what we have is, draped over the flag. So yeah, you made me speechless. That song is amazing. I love it. I love it. Tell me the name of it again.
Not Country.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot that either. You literally, so everybody just bear with me here. It's rare that I go speechless, but it took me into an area that I usually kind of stay out of, a lane, meaning you're like interviewing me now. So it was like flipping the roles there for a second. So I'm still human. I am still, hey, I am honest and I am not PC. Do I have bad days and bad times? Of course I do. And that's when I have to turn it on and up there. But I can tell you, for me, and I know everybody has their thing, but for me, this is my thing right now. So we're on my show. It is faith and music, and it is my kids, and it will keep me going because it's in the good book. I know he's got my back, and I can tell you right now that when I look behind me and it's over me, that my son is all around me. So and I hope that other families out there were able to hear that, and they'll continue. Brooks, your music is touching people that, do not have that peace. So as a mother or a father, this is why I bring up siblings, because it's a sibling too. Just like Adam's little brother, there's not many things out there for them, literally. So not to bring it down, because that's not what we do as Gold Star families. We are families that just want to get back out there and get involved and see what's going on and how we fit. So music is kind of my lane, and I'm glad that I ran into you in that same roadblock lane of life, between the world of being a veteran throughout. It's all around you. I'm like, oh my goodness. Between your father, I bet your grandfather. I bet you've got someone everywhere going back like I did, but I kind of stopped after my son. I'm like, okay, maybe in a couple more generations later. But this one, I feel like I've put in all I can give as far as that goes, but I will never give up, and I will never, ever, ever stop being there, not only for our veterans, but for the active duty. So I also want everyone to remember that our active duty, if more than ever, really needs someone like your son, Brooks, to really understand what is patriotism and what we need to do is for this country. Number one, I say pray. Number two, it's get active, like start being involved. And that could mean a different thing to everybody. So I'm not saying go join the military. I'm saying get involved in your community, get involved in what's going on. There are a lot of ways that we can all do so much more to give back, not just to our veterans, but again, for Patriots Inside the Wire. Let me pull this up for you. Like our coin up there, if you sneak and look at it later, anyone that's listening to me, you'll find some hidden things in there that I did on purpose. So not just me, but thank you to JMT. SWAT could not be here tonight. Mr. John SWAT was there in Nashville for a very long time. You'll end up getting to meet him. Nice. Brooks, I'm going to play the exit that I have. We've also been looking for someone, well, I'm going to say me, kind of that heavy rock. There's a whole lot of country artists that are veterans. There are not a whole lot of artists that are veterans that do rock. I don't know if you've noticed that. Yeah, right. I'm like, it's not as easy for me to find. So, and when I say that, I mean, you definitely got to be able to pull it off too, right? So, another individual around you down there is Doc. I don't know if you've met him yet. He goes by Doc, but
Doc Lewis?
his music is under Malachi. Are you familiar with Columbia, Tennessee?
I've heard of it. I haven't been there.
Yeah. Well, when I come back, and if you're in town, we definitely will go. That's where my little brother lived before. He's no longer with us either. But Doc is someone who also does rock, and he just quit working for the VA, but he served for a very long time. I believe it was Navy too. The two of you need to meet. So when I think of rock, I think of Doc, and now I think of you. So do you go by Brooks, by the way?
Yeah, Brooks. Yeah, it's just under Brooks. Yeah.
Okay, so no nicknames or anything. Nobody gave you in the military.
No, I mean everybody called me Fish, but everybody also called my brother Fish, so it gets a little confusing because hearing like the fish,
right?
Yeah.
I love your name. Actually, that is one of the names I was going to pick for Two Steps little brother, which he's named Cash for a reason within my family line. But Brooks was the other name. So we went with Cash. So Zachary Cash. It's been great having you on here, Brooks. Again, you threw me for a loop. I'm not normally without my words. That song touched me in a great way. I threw a lot at you here tonight. I threw the anthem. I threw a Gold Star Mom type of song, whether it's Sergeant Two-Step. It's like I hear it and I got it, but I just can't get it out. So, and I know it'd be a hit. I know that it would. I have so many that are like, is there a song that you can find that's going to like fit for, and I don't, and we gotta be careful here. Anyone that's losing someone within the military, it's a lot about wives. I can find those all day long. I can find a lot of other areas, but so whether it's the Gold Star family, and that's why I say family, or the Gold Star Mom, a very specific song. I see there is a song, Dear Mom, to write to the mom. I don't mean that. I mean, look where I'm at now, and look at what I'm trying to do, and look at Two-Step and why he went in, and me trying to explain to his little brother Cash, why did my brother go join the military? Like, what is that patriotism thing that made him, why did he do it? And so that song that needs to be out there that is a story is about your son as well. I mean, your son's going to go sign up, and, you know, A, what makes them sign up, and B, when you have to be, and this won't be you, Brooks, but when you end up being that parent that they didn't come home, you are searching, like, where are the like-minded individuals? Where are my people? So I can't get that song. That is a song I promise you, I have tasked that to, it's a lot of people. And that is a song that, again, if it weren't so personal, I could get it out. I mean, I can send you all kinds of stuff I've written, but I just can't do it. So, but I believe you could, actually. I think that you may understand more, especially after talking about why me. So I think you get it. I think you actually understand. I don't want you to, actually. So I'm glad you're not in my lane. You're doing great. Stay in your lane. I love hearing your music. Your wife is like a badass, one hell of a woman. Thanks to her. I heard you say Kicks. Is that her?
Her name's Kristen. She goes.
All right.
I call her Kick.
Okay. Well, shout out to Kick. That's one hell of a woman. And shout out to your son for signing up, and your brother who's still just at it. And for you and everyone out there, whether you have someone serving or will be serving or has served, and you know, the ultimate sacrifice is your freedom for a life. So, and I try to explain that every day. The reporters, the judges, you name it, the right to freedom of speech, the right to be that reporter that reports on that, the right for me to say what I'd like to say even though you can't say a lot of things anymore on certain platforms, it is because of a person that literally took an oath, foreign and domestic. So, Brooks, I am going to play the outro here, and it is going to be about just the show. I want you to pay attention. I have been asking for a cadence style, kind of in your face rock, like you know, I can't say it on here, but basically like in your face shouting. Not drill instructor, but I guess someone would say, yeah, she means drill instructor, but
Yeah. Sounds like Take Me.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll understand here in a minute. So I'm gonna play that for you and for everyone else out there that is familiar with Patriots Inside the Wire. Thank you for joining us here on Patriots Inside the Wire with Mr. Brooks Herring. Brooks, a veteran in the Navy. He's a singer-songwriter. His whole family is serving and has served. So as far as thanking them too, and your son at 19, everyone's going to be fine because it's the way that it works, right?
Yep.
Brooks, you threw a lot at me too tonight. So thank you for that. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for caring when we made that phone call, looking for someone to, jump in for the anthem there. We were, I don't know, I was in 20 calls deep, and I was like, you know what? If he can't, you might know somebody, that could do that.
Sing the anthem if I'm there, I'm there.
Yeah, I'll be there. So I'll be at the Josie Awards. I don't know if you do that, the Josie Awards there in Nashville.
In October, right?
Yeah. I think it's October 5th and 6th. I have to look. It's the first weekend area in October. I know that, so we're right. But yes, I'll be there for that, and I'll be there the end of July through I don't know how long. So we'll see. But normally I'm already there, but I'll be there soon in Nashville. There's a lot of work that needs to be done that I'm working with Tootsie's. And there's the alley there, the famous alley that was the real Grand Ole Opry. Now you got the Ryman Theater. And then when I come home, it's like line out the door, tour it. I'm like, whoa, this is not what, this isn't my home. This has changed a lot. So when you see this exit here, you're going to understand what I mean. I need a voice, and I need a in your face exit. And I think you might be that person too. So here we go. Let's do it. Patriots Inside the Wire.
Thank you for watching another episode of Patriots Inside the Wire, hosted by Gold Star mom, Tracy Two-Step. Help us broaden our reach. Like, subscribe, and share.
Sorry, Brits. So I'm my brother Two-Step.
There you have it. That last part was actually Cash, who's trying to say my brother Sergeant. He was trying to do the cadence. That's what he was trying to do. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for more of a growl, more of a me, like our family. I do like the same style of music that you do. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Brooks. Brooks, you have to be very tired. We were going on a little over an hour here, so I'm going to let you get some rest. Hopefully I'll get to meet you there in person. I'll be there soon. I'll have to check out what your schedule is, but I'm back and forth all the time. If you're ever also in need of anything, or just want to know like something that's going on or anything, let me know. You got my number. So
Will do.
I can't wait to get to see you. The producer's saying, yes, your growl. That I'm not, they want me to get my words out. They're giving me a note.
I just sent that link to you. I said that's the growl. That's one another song that I released called "Take Me." It's got a growl at the beginning of it.
Oh, well, JMT in here is the producer, so he had been sending. Now it makes sense. All right, I'll take a look at that one.
Cool.
So there you go again. That's what I mean. So you already have kind of the idea of your voice on that end saying, you know, when you join, like, thanks for watching, and like I kind of want to punch them or choke them in the, you know, like, go like, subscribe. Just like as an artist, if you don't do all of that, we don't get to do what we do. So check out brooksherringmusic.com for all that's coming. He does have a few new songs that are releasing, you said, in about a week. Is that right?
I've got a 3-song live acoustic album that came out not this past Friday, but the Friday prior.
Okay.
And I've got an album that we're working on that's going to be coming out in late November. So you
Late
can
November.
like, follow, share. If you follow me on Spotify or Instagram or anything like that, then you'll be one of the first to know when that album's coming out. And probably have a couple things to sprinkle in between.
Well, that'll be great. That'll be great. So again, you can go to Spotify, like he mentioned. You can go to Instagram. When you go to Spotify, again, I'm going to say it. Please add the music to your playlist. If you're checking it out and you like it, it's not a big deal. Even if you don't want to go back and listen to it, that artist actually, even a show like our shows on Spotify, Brooks will be on our show. You leave that in your playlist. You don't want to go back to it, don't go back to it. But the digital era we're in, that's what you need to do, is please add the artist or a show that you are checking out to your playlist. Well, Brooks, thank you for joining us tonight. I left a lot there for you, so I gave you a lot to think about, didn't I? I'm sure I did. So even in the intro as well, I really want to switch that up a bit too. So you've got some songs that fit, ironically, exactly that growl inside of me. So I look forward to talking to you more. I'm going to end it now and say thank you for joining us. To anyone out there, go to patriotsinsidethewire.com. You can fill out the information there if you'd like to be on the show or give us your story. And if there's anything that we can do for you, please let us know. It is on our website. And if not, we will find someone who can. Again, it's patriotsинsidethewire.com with tonight our guest, Brooks Herring at brooksherringmusic.com. Thank you, Brooks, for everything that you do. Thank you for your service and your family's service too. And you do have one hell of a woman, and you are one hell of a man that does care about this country. And I am grateful to meet you. So God bless. Thank you for being here. I'm very grateful. And we're going to sign out right now. Talk to you later.
I see you.
Thanks.